Welcome everyone to the ASVP experience. I'm your host, ASVP. On tonight's topic, we got AEW Dynamite and we got NXT reviews. But first, this morning we heard the death of the legend, of the greatest ring announcer ever, Howard Finkel. He actually passed away earlier this morning. Pretty tragic. He made his debut in 1977 and probably the greatest and worldwide voice ever to be heard in wrestling. And also, other news, we get heaps of WWE superstars getting released. Now, I'll tell you which ones they were. First, we had Drake Maverick, Zack Ryder, Kurt Hawkins, Carl Anderson, Luke Gallows, Heath Slater, Eric Young, Rowan, Sarah Logan, No Way Jose, EC3, Aiden English, Mike Chioda, Mike and Maria Kanellis, Leo Rush, Primo and Epico, Kurt Angle, Rusev, Alex Yaksich, and we have Peruzo. Now, WWE said they let him go due to what's happening with all this coronavirus and all this. And they said, after when all this passes, because they need to do pay cuts so they can always have like a flow of revenue coming in and money, they said they, will sign some of them back. Now, in my opinion, the superstars who I reckon they'll sign back out of all of those is probably Zack Ryder, Kurt Hawkins, Carl Anderson, Luke Gallows, Leo Rush, Rusev. Yeah, that's about it. I reckon they'll try to sign them. However, I reckon Carl Anderson, Luke Gallows, Zack Ryder, Kurt Hawkins, like those two tag teams, I reckon they'll go back just because AJ's in there. Zack and Kurt's always, been in the WWE for a while. Mike Chioda, they might sign back. Leo Rush, this was his second stint. I don't know if they'll do a third one for him. Kurt Angle, I doubt they're going to sign him back. He's a bit older. He probably wants to be with his family more often. But Rusev, they will try a lot to sign Rusev back, but I don't think Rusev's going to go back. He will literally go to the Indies, honestly, and I don't blame him because he deserves to be utilized so much. Now, on to NXT. First up, we had Finn Balor versus Fabian Aichner from Imperium. Now, it was actually a decent match. It was a good match as well. It did a good storyline. How Finn Balor, he beat, Wolf. Now he beat Fabian just so he can get to Walter, which I reckon is pretty good storytelling. Finn wins with his, 1916. But before that, Fabian's moonsault, his springboard moonsault was pretty cool. One of the best I've seen in recent years. And props onto him, he can actually work. This is probably the first time ever we've seen him in like a singles competition working, and I feel like he did well. But yeah, it was a good storyline telling. That's about it. Next on, we had Aaliyah taking on Xia Li. Now Xia Li wins. It was an okay match. It was a bit shorter, but it did its job. Then we had Isaiah Swerve Scott versus Akira Tozawa for the Cruiserweight Championship Tournament. Now, Tozawa wins. And I like how they brought up, the commentators that were like, Michael Ronaldo was like, Tozawa was yesterday at Raw, he's fighting tonight. It just gives that feel like, is Tozawa going to be like, weakened from yesterday's battle for Isaiah to come? Like, I really thought it was pretty good. Then we had Tegan Nox versus Gonzalez. And Tegan Nox wins with interference. That, again, was like the Xia Li match. It was just, an average match. Then we had Velveteen Dream. He comes out after Adam Cole does his no-show. He's recording himself saying, I don't need to be there. This, that. Velveteen Dream comes out. And, he does an interview and he says, I want you, Adam Cole, like one-on-one, this, that, I'm like one of the greatest champions in NXT. And then in the back, you see Finn's face. And then Finn comes close to him and he interrupts him. And he was just disgusted that the Dream talks about how he's the greatest champion in NXT, because Finn really thinks that he's literally the greatest champion in NXT. Since he's come through again, that's all he said, which I reckon it's pretty good that he came out and he did an interference. And then Dream goes, I challenge you next week. Which, I'm pretty excited for that match, because Dream's probably one of the best workers in NXT now, and Finn, he's one of the greats there. Next up, we had Undisputed Era, Roderick Strong and Bobby Fish versus Matt Riddle and his partner. And it was really anticipated. And Timothy Thatcher comes out. Now, this guy is a hard bloke. He's just exactly like Pete Dunne, just a brawler, hard, you can hear his hits, you can just hear everything he does, every groin of his suplex. And in my opinion, it was a good match. And Matt Riddle and Timothy Thatcher win, which I think is the great outcome for it. Now, onto the AEW Dynamite. Now, I like this show. Just the main event, I feel like it lacked as much star power and quality as it should have been. But we'll get to that at the end. But first, we have Jake the Snake, who cuts a promo on how good Lance Archer is. Now, if you haven't seen this, you need to go watch it, because Jake's promo of Lance Archer just makes you like Lance 10 times more, even though he's a heel. And it just makes you feel more scared about who is Lance Archer. And Jake just does it great. He does it with his soft voice, like his killer soft voice. He literally takes his time explaining it. They put background music, which I reckon was pretty good for the moment as well. And it just sounded great. And that's exactly what Lance Archer needs. Someone like Jake, just to push him even more. Then, next scene, we see Jericho's on commentary again, which is really needed. And he's amazing on commentary. If you watch the show, you'll see throughout the night, his boys like Sammy Guevara, I'll talk about later. He pushes him even more of how good he is and all that. It's pretty good. Anyways, for the first match, we have Lance Archer versus Colt Cabana, and that's a great opponent for Lance. You got Colt, who is a baby face, who actually fans know for a while, because he's been wrestling for over 15 years, and also he's just a great pure babyface. That's what he is. He's a pure babyface where people would love to get behind, just because how he moves, how he acts, and also he's a good wrestler as well. But Lance Archer, this literally will boost him to be even more of a heel. Anyways, it starts off with Lance hitting a crowd member, which was amazing. Then, it was just a good modern match, and I love Lance. He's such a great modern day big man. It's crazy. He's agile. He knows how to work. He hits his spots correctly. And that's what you need with a big man, because they're not just like, just like the normal wrestlers and all that, where they're a bit smaller. They can do more moves. They have more of a move set. Though he hits his spots so perfect. Anyways, he wins with the black hat on Colt. Very impressive, and it was a great match to start off the show. And then after that, we have Britt Baker doing a promo as she's a dentist and all that, which was pretty good. It was pretty funny. It's good to see this side of her, not just like a real big baby face. It's good to see a heel Britt Baker. Anyways, she takes on Cassandra Golden, and it was a quick match. She got the win, and that's what's pretty good about it. It just shows that she has talent to be a heel, and if anything, she might be a great heel how she's going. And Jericho was absolutely loving it. Next up, we had Shug D versus Sammy Guevara. Now, this is what I meant. Jericho on commentary, he's just telling how good Sammy is. How he's like one of the best Spanish wrestlers in the world now. He's just putting him over, which is absolutely amazing. It was a quick match. Sammy heals it up a bit. That's all you need. On to the next match, we have Kip Sabian taking on Chuck Taylor, representing Best Friend. Now, it was a good match. It had everything to do with the Best Friends. It had Orange Cassidy coming out, just doing his shenanigans on ringside. Then we had interference at the end with Jimmy Havoc coming out, allowing Chuck Kip Sabian to win and all that. It was pretty good. Then we had Shawn Spears versus Justin Law. Some rookie, Chris Jericho, forgot his name in the middle of the match, was pretty cool. Shawn wins. He got a bit cocky at the start, but he came back and he pulled through with the C4. He won. It's pretty good. Shawn's still looking for his next tag member. And then on to the main event. Jake Hager taking on Jon Moxley. Now, it's a no-holds-bar match. Anything goes. Before I get into the match, the start of it was good. They started to lock up just because Jake Hager's an MMA fighter, and they were just saying, how he's like in MMA undefeated, and in AEW he's undefeated. So they were talking about that, and I had John, pulling out moves as well. So it was pretty good at the start. Though, it's a no-holds-bar match. There's no one in the arena. I do not know why they weren't going across the whole entire arena, going through back doors. Just exactly like what Edge and Randy Orton did at WrestleMania, the last man standing match. They went through every door. If anything, they probably went through 95% of that arena at NXT. But anyways, so I feel like they should have done that more and should have been a little bit more extreme just because of Jon Moxley's standards. But look, the start was good. The middle went, flat. And the ending was good as well. So you can't say anything bad about it. Jon Moxley, he did his part, retained. Jay got his first loss. I reckon, it was a pretty solid match. So that is it for today. Hope to listen to you guys more. Please like and subscribe. See you later.